the magic city of Birmingham, Alabama, we welcome you to the USL Championship on CBS Sports. Big matchup in the Southeast as Birmingham Legion welcome the Tampa Bay Rowdies to Protective Stadium on this Wednesday night. Take a look at the Eastern Conference standings. Louisville leads the way. They've already clinched a playoff position. Birmingham right at the line in 8th. Tampa Bay trying to protect a top 4 position. And good evening, everyone. Joined by Devin Kerr, Mike Watts on hand. Happy to have you along for one of the more unique rivalries in this league, Devin, because for some reason, Birmingham has always had Tampa Bay's number. It truly is unique.
It's a mental issue at this point in time, with the Rowdies being winless in 6, dating back to November of 2021, and the Birmingham Legion being just one of 4 teams all-time in USL Championship play to have a winning record against Tampa Bay.
We'll see if that continues tonight. Now, for the Rowdies, they've got an incredible attack in their front two. Devin, the focus of your ahead of the curve.
Manuel Arteaga and Cal Jennings are striking at a record-breaking pace. So let's start with Arteaga up top. He's built with power, and specifically how good he is in the air. One of the best. And over the last 4 seasons, 3rd most headed goals in USL Championship play. But that power is what I want to focus in on the second one. The way that he hits the pocket and his ability to explode. Whether it's a large pocket to step out of or a tight-knit window to explode into. Cal Jennings, different profile. He likes to be down in that gray area. But his 1v1 capability, getting defenders to wrong foot themselves, creating on his own, down underneath is where he thrives, though. His ability to stretch the back line, to move this thing side to side, to create for others, not only for himself, has seen him produce double-digit goals for the first time in USL Championship history, 4 consecutive seasons. And the partnership in total is actually on record-breaking pace. We talked about that coming in. 14 for Arteaga, 13 for Cal Jennings. Right now, 27 total goals is actually a better goals per game ratio than Adam John and Solomon Asante in 2019.
Conversely, the Birmingham Legion struggling to find any goals. 3 very staunch opponents in a 3-game losing streak.
Injuries are certainly one thing they've had to deal with, and so Thompson once again is trying to piece this together. And unfortunately, they've heard that before. But this team, they don't normally drop games at this rate. It's just the 3rd time in club history they've experienced a 3-game losing streak. The good news is they've also always figured out a way down the stretch to make it right. So much so that they're just one of 4 teams all-time in USL Championship play to make the playoffs every single season. So although it is patchwork, they always seem to solve the puzzle.
All right, so Birmingham will try and figure out this puzzle yet again. The Tampa Bay Rowdies, a team who they've always managed to find their number. Protective Stadium here in Birmingham, Alabama on this Wednesday night. It is a substantial game in the Eastern Conference of the USL Championship. It's coming up next on CBS Sports Network. USL Championship is on CBS Sports. The Tampa Bay Rowdies away to face the Birmingham Legion. The Birmingham lineup has reinforcements. Tyler Pasher, first appearance in over a month. Deba Nwegbo, first time since July 6th.
A little bit of a tactical change here for Tom. So they've been rolling with this diamond that allowed that striker position to drop underneath. But now that he has health on that front line, he can push them a little bit higher. But this is going to be about width for a team in the elimination of it for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. How much control will they have centrally? Because Robbie Nielsen has made a couple of changes himself for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Aaron Guillen comes back in. Kleeman back in, much needed for that back line that needs to be stabilized, because defensively, that's where this team is going to find success. Control in the midfield tonight, obviously going to be Lewis Hilton, but what does Ben Bender bring to the project, coming over on loan from Charlotte FC and MLS play? And an interesting front line here, moving to that single striker. Jennings available off the bench with Damian Rivera and Ryan Spalding down underneath. Again, they want to overload the channels, push the tempo out wide.
The Tampa Bay Rowdies take the field. 12 wins, 7 losses, 7 draws this year. They sit in third. The reality is Charleston and Louisville may be a boat too far. They're going to try and hold on to a home playoff game, but the likelihood of a second is dwindling. Tyler Pasher and the Legion ready for the occasion. Pasher, one of the most dynamic players in the championship when he's healthy, and he is healthy tonight. Lorenzo Hernandez, the referee for this affair. And Kendrick serenades us right up the kickoff here in Birmingham. Enzo Martinez will begin the proceedings for the Legion. Hammer down. 248 games now for Enzo Martinez in the championship, 10th most all time. And we're underway. It's Birmingham taking on Tampa Bay from the Protective Stadium in Birmingham. Cronali into the channel. Martinez, ball lashed at, and here's Bodley. And the whistle goes. Ryan Spalding on the wrong end. Brought in, this is 4th game on loan from New England. Was part of the team last year over a 2.5-month stretch. Started 9 games, couple of goals. The 25-year-old from Connecticut. Doherty. Gabire whistles this through early. Spalding arriving at the back post, launched out of play by Dodson.
One of the luxuries that you get with Jordan Doherty on the back line, and certainly the addition of Ben Bender, is the ability to work off of each other. Doherty's ability to provide coverage as they start to spread wide. He can bump up into the midfield, allow Ben Bender to get a little bit higher within that midfield shape. Really try and work Kobe Hernandez Foster out of position to provide more support on that front line for the Rowdies.
Lewis Hilton, excellent on dead balls. This takes a huge skip up off the turf. Bender. And now Manuel Arteaga. Have both these teams, and really everyone in the championship, has spent the last month trying to find the piece that could get them over the hump. Birmingham was looking more in their midfield and trying to find goals in that area of the field while getting healthier in their front line. This Tampa Bay team making additions by way of loan, including, as you mentioned earlier over the lineup, Ben Bender's acquisition on loan from Charlotte. How do you look at how these two teams navigated before the roster freeze this week?
They definitely did well for themselves. You know, if you look at the Tampa Bay Rowdies specifically, I'm not overly concerned about who they did or did not pick up. It's more concerned about the level of consistency that they can get out of themselves. Speaking with head coach Robbie Nielsen, it was a very similar conversation, and he directly referenced their loss to Colorado Springs Switchbacks FC, the 4-2, and said, that wasn't us. And I said, you know, how much do you feel like you've gotten out of your team and the quality this year? And he says, this is just going to come down to us being able to challenge ourselves to go win a playoff game, and then win the next one, and then the next one, because they do have title aspirations. The Birmingham Legion,
this is about getting healthy too, but you know, they need more on the front line. Defensively, they've always been quite stout, but with Wegbo, Pasher, and Pino, now all of a sudden it feels like all of those pieces they've talked about, they finally have the ability to go chase games instead of just trying to remain relevant.
That snuck through to Pino. Dodson spins. Guillen got in the mix. Guillen playing a very important role since the injury to Forrest Lasso. Ended the center back season. Approaching the end line and running out of real estate. We mentioned the series history of late, and yet really this is a tale of two halves. It was very Rowdies dominant early. It's been very Birmingham dominant of late within the league. Birmingham has won the last 4 meetings in championship play. Well, it's worth noting one of the big turning points for this Birmingham team this year was a 6-4 loss in the Open Cup to Tampa Bay. 4 days later, played the Rowdies again and beat them 1-0, but changing their shape into a diamond that's largely served them well most of the year, although it appears they're inclined to change that tonight with the personnel they have.
If you lose all those pieces up top, Mike, you have to find a way to recreate some of the ideas going forward. Something that, to be fair, Tom Sohn admitted wholeheartedly that they've struggled with really since their inception back in 2019, finding ways to create quality on that front line for the Nines. And so you drop in, you overload the midfield, you create more control. And that's what this team has been predicated upon over the past couple of months.
Chipped out of play, Dodson was there. Derek Dodson brought in from Minnesota last year in Charleston. McCartney. Patterson. Mensah. Trying to work a give and go. Mensah able to maintain. Martinez met with Hilton. Play through. Finale. Run all the way down to Jordan Farr. Just over a goal a game this year. Jordan Farr remains one of the more exciting keepers in the league. Give you the oh wow moments, no doubt. Helped backstop San Antonio to a double a few years back. Spalding playing early, seeking Arteaga. And it belongs to Birmingham. It started to look like carbon copy ahead of the curve. That ball in
back
Arteaga.
Across there wasn't far off, was it? And it's one of those things, Mike, that when you go through your scout of the upcoming match, you know it's there. You recognize the height, the frame of Arteaga, just over 6'1", that power that I talked about, wide shoulders, the ability to not just fend players off, but then quickly get that jump in behind. And yet, near impossible at certain points in time to find a way to defend it. He's so clever with the back shoulder runs that enable him to open up the space.
Trailing is Rivera. Spalding. And skitter out for a goal kick. It is not Robbie Nielsen, it's Nicky Law leading the way. Nielsen receiving a one-game suspension, deliberately leaving the technical area in a provocative manner. Get all that?
It's something to think about, we'll put it that way.
Robbie Nielsen, the first-year head coach. Nicky Law finished out the season as the interim last year after Neil Collins left the club. Although he's found another new home in the Scottish Premiership. Congrats to Neil. Law led the team to a 9-win, 5-loss, 1-draw conclusion. I told Robbie Nielsen is in the stadium, although he's not allowed to have any contact with the team throughout the 90 minutes and halftime either.
Don't get in line. You and I haven't had that since 2018.
Ian. Gabire. Hilton. Freddie Kleeman. For his ACL in Birmingham on loan March of 2022. Gabire. Step inside, Doherty. Contact on Arteaga. He's still on the ground. This ball hit wide by Damian Rivera. 6 goals, only his 4th start of the year. 21-year-old from Rhode Island has put up enormous numbers in limited time.
You know, looking at what the lineup might be tonight, kind of guessed a little bit, you know, in terms of what they turned in because of the amount of wingers that they had, and it piqued my interest in the thought that maybe they might be able to flatten out the shape just a bit, take some of the emphasis off a back 3, allow 2 outside backs to get high. What that does is that's going to force the Birmingham Legion to then drop even more players to the outside. It creates different rotation and also the attacking places that they're not used to. It does feel like the Rowdies are a little bit more comfortable in a 4 right now. And just watch Ben Bender, the way that he jumps in front of Doherty to pivot off this right-hand side.
That hit with venom, appeal for a handball unheard off Kleeman. Tommy Sohn has led the team every year of its existence, 6th season. Led the team to 5 consecutive playoff appearances, tied for the 4th longest active streak in the league. And showing off the wheels. There's work to be done.
Still got it.
Very few coaches really give full emotion when we talk to them in the lead up, and you can feel a little bit beleaguered and yet still optimistic that a 10-day layoff gives them a chance to find their strengths again, get healthy, and turn the corner into the last 8 games.
He's frustrated.
Yep.
I don't blame Tommy Sohn for being frustrated. You know, one thing that you and I can definitely agree on is looking at the genetic makeup of every team coming into a year gives you that feeling of this is the one. This is the year where they found their striker. They've always had quality goalkeeping and good defending, but they've got the quality within the midfield now, and they have that striker up top that can create separation, which is finally what they've been looking for. And then it's an injury and a little bit of poor form, and that frustration starts to mount. And unfortunately for Tom Sohn, that's been the conversation since 2019. Finding a way to now create that separation is really the next guess for him, really.
Dished off, dripped across, may bounce back toward Pino. Slides to keep it in, Hilton. That'll come with a yellow card. And a pretty unnecessary one. Kobe Hernandez Foster, he had a lot of support behind.
It's a young mistake by a young pro, Kobe Hernandez Foster, who California native, felt like at one point in time earlier this year was unplayable in that midfield. So clean on the ball. Excellent control of the relationships that he's created with Dawson McCartney and Enzo Martinez.
You mentioned injuries. That trio got pretty banged up for a point in time as well. Forcing his way through a double team, and eventually Nyangabire gets this over the line and wins a corner. Nyangabire called into AFCON qualifying last year for Burundi. 24-year-old they acquired with a transfer fee, Canadian Premiership team Valor FC. Spelled the Canadian way, of course. Hilton. Ball knocked down, spinning shot, didn't go, follow. That's turned away from Bender, and now what a save by Van Oekel. Nyangabire and Spalding came together, and Spalding took a whack at it. One of the best in league history, Van Oekel up to the task.
It's the best strike out of all of them, though, and it's the way that he composes himself to allow his shoulders. He stays square and then on the instep, because he can still hit it with power into the bottom corner, but he can place it exactly where he wants to, if not for Matt Van Oekel and this explosion. What a save this is by Matt Van Oekel. Notice his form, the way he sets to get low and get into that bottom corner. Very well done.
Another corner for the Rowdies. Thrust forward by Bender. Falls back to Hilton, and there's Van Oekel again. Third most saves, third most clean sheets in league history, Matt Van Oekel. But like all goalkeepers, he's still chasing the great Vic Newton.
Just got inducted into his Collegiate Hall of Fame, if I'm not mistaken.
Evan Newton, all-time great goalkeeper in this league, all-time great human, no doubt about that.
Virginia Beach native and product of Old Dominion University. Mount Rushmore for you?
League-wide or just within goalkeepers?
League-wide.
Close.
Got to throw a goalkeeper up there, hard to not include him.
That's true enough. Are we still on 4 faces on that thing?
Oh, we've gone to 5.
Okay.
Might have to be 6 with the coach. That's a great ball.
Spalding just missed. Blake Bodley down the line. One of the more thrilling heads of lettuce in championship lore. Mensa. Nwegbo. Doherty crashes in. Hernandez Foster. Three games without a goal, 3 straight defeats, 29 goals on the year for Birmingham, fewest of any team currently above the playoff line in the East. Turning Rivera. Guillen. Bender. Bender for Arteaga. Manuel Arteaga, incredible season last year in Phoenix. 15 goals, 7 assists, although he finished the season for the eventual champion as the super sub. Ultimately, Juan Guerra told us at the final last year he did so with a smile. Sometimes you just get caught on a certain number of goals, and sometimes you go, more minutes, more action, and sometimes that just doesn't help. Arteaga found his spark again off the bench, and has certainly had it throughout the season here in Tampa with 14.
And the exploration process for Robbie Nielsen, the idea of, I actually wanted to play 3 up top, coming into the season, and recognized quickly that the double striker system was much better suited for their personnel.
Martinez off the mark for Pasher.
And then it just became the question of, what did the tactical setup look like against the next opponent? For a long period of time, you and I have had a conversation about this team. It's not relevance in the Eastern Conference. It's never been about that. It's about what level can they reach come postseason time. Previous iterations of this team under Neil Collins, it was almost assuredly this team can win a title. That feels a little different right now, given the quality of play that we've seen out of Louisville City and the Charleston Battery. And that's not discrediting anything that the Rowdies bring to the field to play. I'm just talking about the form right now, right? That being said, I still don't want to play them come postseason time.
And the reality is, if they finish 3rd, or 4th for that matter, and that's where they sit right now, the likelihood is they would have to go to Charleston and to Louisville to get out of the Eastern Conference. No one's putting it past them, but it's certainly not a simple road. Meanwhile, right now, Birmingham would line up for a first-round game against that record-pacing Louisville City side. It's the number 8 seed coming into the week. Far, now Kleeman. And the Rowdies wiggle out Neon Gabire. That's a ton of green out in front of him. Spalding on the backside. Supporting the width. Spalding takes it upon his own shoulders. Back now to Doherty. Bender. Hangs that up, takes a deflection off of Pasher. And another set piece for Tampa Bay. You always had that big magnetic force on set pieces in Forrest Lasso. Even with him out, the Rowdies still have plenty enough trees to cause any team trouble, not the least of which one of the best headed goal scorers in the league, number 9, Arteaga. Well, he's setting it up. You can see 9 and 19. He may be looking for a little bit of a pick from the 6'4" defender, Freddie Kleeman. Cross, Far got something on it, make that Van Oekel follow. Van Oekel's there and turns Bodiley's shot out over the line. Yet another set piece for the Rowdies.
2 really good follow-up strikes, though. The first one from Spalding, that one from Bodiley from distance, and Matt Van Oekel in traffic. Picture perfect. The level of difficulty is so hard to explain given all the bodies in front of him.
Hilton again. And again, it comes out high. Bender onto his left, found Spalding, snaps the header across. Dodson denies. And Martinez clears. As far as Stefano Pino. Martinez spots in Wegbo long. Brought that down well, snapped inside, and bounced away from Dawson McCartney. Now, Dev, I want to go back to what you're saying, midway point here in the first half. You asked Robbie Nielsen this week, do you think this team has what it takes to win a championship? And he made a comment similar to sort of what you've suggested in the past. Your ability to win a title is based more on your history than hopeful results in the future.
Yeah.
He goes, we've beaten New Mexico, Sacramento, Charleston, Louisville. That's the top 2 in each conference. So we know we can do it. It just comes down to consistency. And in that sense, Tampa Bay is a little bit enigmatic more so than past years. Played a game against Detroit, said it's 65% of the ball and 25 shots, and lost the game 1-0. That does not a title make.
My argument, though, would be that doing it obviously at the opportune moment, but having to do it on the road, that's going to be the biggest one, because most of the results, at least in the Eastern Conference, have come at home. Everybody else, they've gone away and they've drawn them, right? Western Conference is a very different conversation. It seems like they supersede everybody over there. They've done quite well against the Western Conference, but can you go to the Battery in Patriots Point? Can you go to Lynn Family?
And Wegbo got the shot away as he turned away from Kleeman and got cut off by Doherty. Save made by Farr. The way it's going right now, everyone's asking, can you go to Lynn Family Stadium in Louisville and win a game? 1 away from tying the league record, 2 away from owning the league record with 4 to go. Home wins in a season. Dion Gabire is broken free down the right-hand side. And not enough contact from A.J. Patterson to draw the whistle from Lorenzo Hernandez. You said they had a lot of wingers.
The decision right now, and to your point, to kind of recreate what this front line is going to look like. Damian Rivera is basically playing in a 10 spot. And it's not like he's the out-and-out chance creator, because they're just pinching Ben Binder off the shoulder of Rivera a little bit. So all of a sudden, you have that 4-man midfield that you've seen in the past, certainly for the Tampa Bay Rowdies, and you're allowing Youngberry to come high up on the right-hand side. And then real quickly, Bender comes back to the outside too. So 4v3 and difficult to mark.
Rivera nearly snuck that across, and Mensah cut it off before Arteaga.
To my point, not the first time that we've seen that movement. And what ends up happening on the back line here, Mike, is as a defender in Mensah, you shield to the inside because Youngberry is deep and Bender's right there in front of you. But then when Youngberry comes out high, you have to pinch back out, but then the space is left in the midfield. That puts more pressure on Kobe Hernandez Foster to then shift over. Remember, we talked about their shape. They had been in a diamond, now just sitting with 3 more difficult, less players to close down that space.
Youngberry shielding. Martinez stabs in. Watch the USL Championship in Spanish on TUDN, nation's leading Spanish language sports network. Select matches, including the championship final, available in Spanish throughout the rest of the season. Go to uslchampionship.com for the complete USL TV listings. You and I will not be calling the game in Spanish, but we will be there for the final. That'll be on CBS.
Porte.
Mensah. Dotson. Surprised how deep Pasher's played in this game?
Just trying to get on the ball. With the numbers, they're doing a real good job, the Tampa Bay Rowdies, of dropping back in and setting up the defensive shape.
Pasher here, snagged by Farr.
It's something that both good and bad has followed him throughout his entire career, is wanting to be involved and getting frustrated when he's not able to have any sort of passages played into him. So he's trying to find that gray area just underneath Spalding in front of Bodley. If you can't get him high and can't get the ball in front of him, then you got to play into his feet, but you have to do it quickly to then allow him to play off through support and find extra real estate.
Devin Kerr, Mike Watts, Birmingham, Alabama playing host tonight. The Legion and the Rowdies. Devin, it feels like summer's over. We're getting to the end of the hydration breaks, no more barbecues. Frustrating time.
Still per diem though, right?
Always per diem.
Got to make sure.
There's one upside to the end of barbecues.
Joe Ellis?
No more coleslaw.
I Thanksgiving's right around the corner.
Up to Spalding. For Nolly. It's merely a throw. Finale, 30 years old now, from Gahanna, outside Columbus, Ohio. Played in the Crew Academy. Big Ten Defender of the Year at Maryland. Time at Orange County and Indy. His 5th year now in Birmingham. Here's Clayman. Mensa. Hopped away from Arteaga. It's also the home to UAB Blazer football team. A number of spring football leagues called this venue home as well. Ball launched in over the top. Pino, long run, far, smashes it away. Diving header out of danger. Ender snuck out of that. And that's a dangerous tackle from Arteaga.
The flair for the dramatic that you referenced earlier by Jordan Farr nearly produces a cardiac event just moments ago. He's certainly never shy to explore his capability of athleticism and the way that he comes off. Notice the high line. I mean, he saw this coming from a mile away. That looked a lot closer in real time, but Jordan Farr, I tipped the cap there. Really well read by the goalkeeper.
There aren't many guys that put their body on the line the extent that Jordan Farr does.
I also just respect the way that he had set himself up. If you notice how he had his body just kind of on that half turn, it gave him the ability, if the ball was dinked a little bit short, to come off his line, step in, and push it aside. But also, if they got cute and tried to go vertical, whether direct over him or down into the channel, he had the ability to then explode going the other way. So twofold decision-making by Jordan Farr there, well executed.
His dad, a professional soccer player, Tim, being the best goalkeeper in NAIA at Corbin. Contact here, play through, now the whistle. So Dodson does win the foul. It took a moment. And Spalding doth protest too much.
Unfortunately for him, there is contact over the backside. It clips him right there. What a pickup that was. A few ways back for Birmingham Legion and getting 2023 USL Championship runner-up Derek Dodson. Obviously then of the Charleston Battery, then to Minnesota United. Still can't get over that story, by the way, that Ben Pierman and Lee Cohen brought him in to be one of the backup strikers.
Yep. Made a lot of sense if you consider his time at Georgetown. All knocked away.
You scored 32 goals in 72 games in your collegiate career. Not that hard to argue, or is it? It's also the flexibility you get out of him, right? A striker, a winger, certainly the outside back position. He's got his work cut out for him tonight. How busy is that man right there? Ryan Spalding been. Another little tweak here for the Legion. Again, they've been active on the inside, trying to find a way to get some numbers up higher, but now all of a sudden, flip-flop with Wego and Pasher. To me, the numbers are just a little bit flat. Doing a really good job, Lewis Hilton, Jordan Doherty. They get that first player to bite. You move him, and now you open up. Look at the separation they now have, about 15 yards either direction. Passer jumps up. Now you've got the wing play. You've got support. A little bit of everything. Just comes down to execution, 25 yards and in.
Bender has to weave back. Hilton. Good move inside Rivera. Ender, back through the width. And that'll clank out of play. Set piece exhibition for Tampa Bay in the first half. Corner incoming. It's kept in play. Excellent. High arcing for Enzo Martinez. By the way, we mentioned Derek Dodson and his run at Georgetown. His sister played at Auburn here in the state of Alabama. The family's from Illinois. 29 goals, 28 assists for the Tigers. Twice first team All-SEC. Brother Ryan played soccer at Denver and then eventually at UNC. A couple cousins that played at LSU.
Just thought you should know that twice in the last 3 days you've made me do math on the fly, and it seems that she trumps Derek Dodson 57-46 in terms of goal contributions.
Oh.
You know I don't appreciate when you put me in that position.
It's running all the way down. By the way, congratulations to Karen Hoppe and Auburn. Top 10 at this stage of the season, having an incredible bounce back year. And they may be on pace for their best season in about a decade's time. That is a really well-run program at Auburn.
Conversely, the build for the Birmingham Legion. Enzo Martinez is probably floating a little bit more Tommy Sohn's liking at this point in time. Great interchange there between Pasher and Kobe Hernandez-Foster.
Mensah. Pasher trying off the left-hand side. You mentioned just searching for the ball now.
Well, the reason I made that comment about Enzo Martinez is he can do everything within this system. The problem is you don't always want him to. And right now, they don't have enough bodies centrally to build off of. That's why the whole game is on the outside. But that's exactly where the Tampa Bay Rowdies want to be. Even though they have conceded possession at times, when it breaks.
Entering in, Dodson crossing, oh, it does go in! Pino off the crossbar, off the goal line, and found its way in. Birmingham has the lead. Their first goal in nearly 4 games.
So this is what I was just talking about for Birmingham, is when Enzo Martinez steps out centrally, you're pitching out to just one area of the field. You have to find a way to create support off of each other. So how do you do it? Well, Pasher had already been on the left. He comes back to the right, and now the back line's confused a little bit, overstepping, and they lose Wegbo. Wegbo then pivots out to the far side, and the run down underneath is absolutely perfect. Beautifully worked down into the channel. Again, you lose the presence on the inside. You have the ability to then create off of each other with the influx of Tyler Pasher coming in. You find the channel, the square ball back across, numbers. And once again, Pino leading this team out in front. 7 goals. He has been incredible when he's been up to it. That's what they've been missing, the Birmingham Legion.
The reality was it was Mohamed Bouya Touré who was brought in to be the guy. But Stefano Pino has been asked to do so much more after Bouya Touré was injured in the opening game of the season, out for the year. And Pino's responded now 7 goals after struggling in front of goal last year in Indy. Rowdies look for their response. Here's Spalding. Spalding! Deflected, a curler into the stands. Patterson bore the brunt of it.
Well done, just getting back behind it here. Cut back across by Ryan Spalding. Trailing run by Jay Patterson is everything.
Hilton. Return to sender. 7 fruitless corners. Arteaga steers. The grasp of Van Oekel. You know, sometimes a player goes up for those headers in the mixer and you don't really know who it is. Arteaga makes it really easy.
The problem is right now, outside of the opening 10 minutes, AJ Patterson and Alex Cronali have become the shadow for the Venezuelan.
Birmingham has finally found that long-awaited goal. Over 300 minutes. The drought ends against Tampa Bay, a side they've beaten in 4 straight regular season meetings. Nyongabire took the ball and at full sprint got by Mensah, and Van Oekel approaches after much consideration a goal kick, and Nyongabire is down.
A great stop-start on the dime, but then just got caught up underneath him. It's the left side, not there. And the cut back across after the fact. What speed by Mensah on the recovery. Right there, just, oy. The way the turf gets caught up underneath him. Trying to come back across it. Okay.
If there's any good news, it doesn't look like he was truly planted. Van Oekel slid in. Soccer can be a hugely unfortunate game. Hopefully that's a good sign for Nyongabire as he's helped up. Coming up at halftime, unlikely unbeaten runs leading teams up the table. About a month and a half remaining in the championship season. We'll get highlights and stats from the first half as well. It's all coming up here on CBS Sports Network. What do you think Nicky Law has to say to this front group? He just spoke to Manuel Arteaga, now Damian Rivera, and the reality is he's going to be the one making the decisions because Robbie Nielsen, the head coach, unavailable due to suspension, offside for Pino.
I felt like they've had a decent representation on the outside. Problem is just a little bit slow within that conversation as they've worked forward to then find help for Arteaga up top. Different conversation over the last couple of minutes for that man right there, Pino.
You know, sometimes I wish we had a little more of a CONCACAF vibe in the championship. Whistle goes here, that's Mensah, and I may have asked a little too soon. I know Robbie Nielsen's here, but whether or not he's going to go full Miguel Herrera walkie-talkie or El Chalice in the front row has not been determined.
The El Chalice departure since 2018 is next level. The Electric Company still favoriting that moment.
sat in the front row and burned his problems away after being sent off from a match. Just don't have fun like that anymore.
He's definitely a Marlboro Reds guy.
No doubt.
It's not even a question.
Hilton puts it in play. Bodley launching, and that'll spear out from Kleeman.
It just feels like the way that they're going about it right now, the Rowdies. Again, good control by Lewis, Hilton, and Doherty, but when they do get to the outside, Arteaga's sandwiched in between Crognali and Patterson. Good recovery defending. When they are tracking back the other direction, and then the wings don't have the support. And Damian Vera, not an out-and-out number 10, used to playing off the shoulder of the 9 for sure, but the way that they've tried to utilize him more centrally tonight, a little bit more difficult for him to come either direction. Usually like to favoring that left side. It's because he's a winger. It's not that hard to track what the normal trends are for a player when you're accustomed to being in one area. But that just means that on that inversion that I talk about by Ben Bender, he's got to find a way to be more active with Rivera. If Spalding comes in on the cut, well, then is it a quick overlap by Rivera to the outside to create separation and Arteaga underneath? These are conversations that you're going to have at halftime if you're Nicky Law with the group that you've got on the field right now.
Well, that was an unfortunate missed handball. And there's a ton of talent on the Rowdies bench. They made pretty substantive rotations coming off a 4-2 defeat at Colorado Springs. Blasted by Rivera. And wouldn't you know it, we'll do it again. Here's Hilton. Header Arteaga off the mark. Two added minutes, and a reminder, Select is the official match ball supplier of the USL Championship. Many elite leagues throughout Europe. Visit us.select-sport.com. The latest Select products, specials, and more. Select, the player's choice. And Wegbo. And there's Bodley and Wegbo still. Birmingham satisfied with this first half? They got the goal, obviously.
I was going to say satisfied in the sense that, yeah, they got the goal and they got it from an area of the field in the 9 position in Pino that it's probably been the most talked about spot for them. Wouldn't use the word satisfied, though, because if not for Matt Van Oekel, this could easily be a 2-1 game. Though the Rowdies haven't exactly controlled the match to which they would want, at least not centrally for my liking anyway. That's the biggest thing for me about this organization. Both with Neil Collins and certainly under Robbie Nielsen, as well as the word control and their ability to, at a moment's notice, be the team that opens it up quickly from A to B to C. Electric on the front line, certainly with Manuel Arteaga, Cal Jennings. You can bring Josh Perez into that conversation. Certainly the former MVP who's coming back from injury, Leo Fernandez, who's starting to feel better. But I just don't get that sense within this game right now.
Gone the 2 minutes. And Lorenzo Hernandez concurs. Halftime in Birmingham, and the Legion a 1-0 lead.
Now the question here in the second half is going to be for Tommy Sohn, is one enough? And I'm not necessarily sure it is, given the amount that the Tampa Bay Rowdies created. 12 shots, 5 on target. So centrally just remaining as well condensed as they have been, but also making sure they can shut down the wings. But that's the exact conversation for Robbie Nielsen. We need to find a way to be more threatening down underneath Manuel Arteaga when we get 25 yards and in.
Stefano Pino the goal in the 37th minute, and the Magic City fans have something to cheer for. A side right at the playoff line with a 1-0 lead over the team who's proved the Achilles heel. 1-0 at the break on CBS Sports Network. The children are our future. Here on CBS Sports Network, the Birmingham faithful have made their way in, young and old, 1-0. The Legion over the Rowdies. Come back into the booth, everybody, with Devin Kerr, Mike Watts on hand. And Devin, you get to this point in the season, and there's a recognition where if you can get hot at just the right time, maybe you could have some incredible memories in October and November. There are three teams on incredible unbeaten stretches right now, including Pittsburgh, that are making quite the move.
Once again, we're getting to postseason time, and once again, Bob Lilly has the Pittsburgh Riverhounds positioned for a playoff run. 10 games unbeaten. That's best in the USL Championship right now, but how do they do it? Defense. It's simple. Defense wins championships, and that's how these teams under Bob Lilly, whether at the Rochester Raging Rhinos or the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, have always gotten there. Sean Suber on the back line has been excellent, as well as Ilal Osumanu, but allowing Danny Griffin, Robbie Mertz, Kennardo Forbes, and Edward Kizza to have control centrally and find goals up top is why they are sitting where they're at right now. Brendan Burke and Hartford Athletic, that's right, we said that. Now the real question for this team is going to be, how long can this unbeaten streak last, because they put themselves in such a hole early on. Love what they can create up top in the 9 position defensively. They feel like they're more comfortable. And most importantly, they're getting out of their own way. They were making silly mistakes early on. That's not the case anymore, which is why they're sitting right there at the playoff line. And last but not least, here they come. The big bad wolf of the Western Conference, your 2023 USL Championship title winners, Phoenix Rising. 4 games unbeaten. I get it. It's only 4 games. It hasn't been pretty, but the most important thing that I've heard throughout this organization is a chip and a chair. Give us a chance. They've got the talent. They've got the individuals. Can they become a team organization down the stretch and make another title run? They did it from the 6th spot last year.
That was the highest seed to ever go on to win the championship title. There were some smiles and some anger in this first half. And of course, Matt Van Oekel, excellent. Birmingham a 1-0 lead at the break. Highlights coming up. USL Championship is on CBS Sports, and on this Wednesday night, Birmingham holds a 1-0 lead over Tampa Bay in the Eastern Conference. And welcome back in, everyone. That's Devin Kerr, Mike Watts. Devin, what made the difference in that opening half?
Birmingham Legion's midfield, Kobe Hernandez-Foster, Dawson McCartney, the shift that they put in to eliminate any threats down underneath the 9 is why the Tampa Bay Rowdies weren't able to break the deadlock and why Birmingham Legion were able to gain the opening goal. But let's show you some of the attacking threats that were for the visitors. Now, here was the biggest thing coming into this match. Tom Zone said, we have to eliminate the threats from the outside. Well, the good news was for them is that they did, in theory. They eliminated the threats about 30 yards and in. The problem was is that they didn't have the ability to then go the other direction. So there were set pieces galore. They had to withstand a ton of pressure in the opening 20 minutes of this game, which called Matt Van Oekel to arms twice. This one from Ryan Spalding. There'd also be another one from Blake Bodley that he would be able to parry aside. Now the problem was that as they started to get stretched on the outside, talking about the Birmingham Legion, they lost their presence within the midfield. Enzo Martinez came high and they weren't able to create any sort of connection points. Well, they were able to recreate it on crossing patterns, and it happens on the goal here. Tyler Pasher had been on the far side. He comes near side. Once you get to the byline, the first time in the opening 45 minutes, you finally had options coming back across, and you get your opening goal 1-0 after 45 minutes of play.
Well, there's still another 45 minutes to go here in the great state of Alabama. Birmingham a 1-0 lead. A huge one in the East. See the conclusion next. The USL Championship on CBS Sports hits fever pitch. We are into mid-September, and with it, matches of major consequence. Tampa Bay may be losing ground in a late push to try and reach the top two. The Rowdies without a first-half goal for the 17th time this year. Only Pittsburgh and Birmingham done so more often. And now the Rowdies trail that very Birmingham side 1-0 at the break. Nicky Law was the interim last year. He is the acting head coach now. Dev, you look into that huddle, you see Damian Rivera there, you see Spalding there. Rivera primarily used off the bench, Spalding a newcomer into this team. Ben Bender just arrived here in the last week or two. they need to find a way to get that trio working in the second half or make a change.
Under Arteaga, 3 of that 4 front line that aren't locals. And what I mean by that is they haven't been a Rowdy from the beginning. They're brought in trying to figure out what the culture is like. And to give you an idea, that man right there, Damian Rivera, 12 touches in the first half. 5 successful passes, 3 of which came in a negative fashion, and that's from your out-and-out chance creator in your number 10. You want to recreate, that's one thing, but you have to find a way to get more combination play between Rivera and Bender. How? To me, it's just wanting the ball more. Being active is one thing. Being active in smart places is another, and they lacked that in the first half underneath Arteaga.
Well, the numbers tell a compelling and rowdy story, and yet Tampa Bay on the trailing end. So we head toward the second half. The Rowdies in 3rd, Birmingham in a tie for 7th. They sit 8th on tiebreakers. But a win here today goes a long way. It's very compact at the playoff line. On to the second half we go. Birmingham 1, Tampa Bay 0. Birmingham would move all the way to 5th place with a win. They would jump over Rhode Island and Indy. Meanwhile, Hartford has kicked off their game tonight. Memphis, Las Vegas, Tulsa all playing. Memphis and Hartford in the second half and scoreless. Here's Spalding. Leans back, ball from Rivera. And that is an early marker for Rivera getting forward. It is a corner.
To your point, by the way, just 6 points in separation from 4th to 10th in the Eastern Conference coming into the night. But this is exactly what we act for, being active in the right times. Notice the delayed run. I love this from Rivera. He started to have heavy momentum, then slowed it down to allow Ryan Spalding to get high and create that space on the cutback.
9 corners to none for the Rowdies. With a hard, feigned step. It was Hilton. Get to the backside. Neon Gabire rose for it. Kept alive here by Bender. Lofts back through. Snapped over by Kleeman. Falling toward Rivera. Crinali. And now off of McCartney.
Substitution for the Legion at halftime. Entering the game is number 23.
Preston Tabor-Itaka came on at halftime, replaces Tyler Pasher. We knew he'd be on a minute restriction coming off injury. This is his first game since August 4th.
Just load management for Tyler Pasher. Great to have him back. Oy vey, that's...
Dotson shown an immediate yellow. And if your reaction is any indication, that's a convenient outcome.
He's not going after him. This is just really rough. The amount of contact that he creates coming through here. Oh boy. And that angle doesn't even tell the best of stories on Rivera. That does. And let's be really clear, people sitting at home talking about, well, you've got shin guards for a reason. I can tell you right now, long gone are the days where you used to actually have ankle pads attached to your shin guards. I mean, we're talking mid to late 90s. Forever, it has been little molded shin guards that you wear right around the central shin bone area. So that is prime territory where you pick up one cleat, it sits on you. You grab an entire full frontal from someone like Derek Donson, that reverberates throughout the entirety of the body.
Could have said it better myself. Spalding. Dev, I grew up and I didn't play much competitive soccer. I
Tell me more.
Slices. But it was, maybe it's just because I was so young, but it felt like it covered from kneecap all the way to ankle. And now you see some of these shin guards come out and it's like it's the ace of spades.
Don't take this the wrong way, but you definitely strike me at the youth level of someone who put their sock on, then the shin guard, and tried to fold it over.
Sounds right.
Nice.
I'll have to ask Cheryl about that. I don't know the answer to that. We actually played for Lemon Ices. To reiterate, it was a better time.
Underrated.
There's the foul for Mensah.
Great start, though. Second half. What do we ask for? More movement centrally, more support. Just comes into numbers. Again, I thought they did a really good job. Goalkeeper to midfield line, and they got a little bit too stretched on the width. Good news was there was space there. The bad news was didn't have numbers in the middle.
Hilton and Kleeman tossed aside Dotson.
By the way, the number that you came in, or excuse me, brought coming into the second half of only scoring in 17 of their 27 games in the first half for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. I saw another one that was given to us by our statisticians, hard at work behind the scenes. Birmingham Legion are unbeaten in their last 6 USL Championship games with leading at half. Now that's great. That includes 5 wins and a draw. The crazy stat to me about that is that they've only been leading in 6 games since July of 2023.
Wow. Well, such the case when you tend to leave it late. Pino. Far, quick distribution. Nyangabire. He's been allowed to roam really wherever he wants once he's got the ball at his feet. Bender. Arteaga. And to put a little mustard on it. Patterson. Birmingham comes off a 2-0 loss at the resurgent Rhode Island FC. Spin from Arteaga, just touched away by Patterson. A 10-day layoff, a healthier group, some new acquisitions, including Darwin Mateus.
Outside of the ball that came across in the opening 10 minutes. Haven't really seen service to Arteaga back in. Almost doesn't count, but almost. And well, Arteaga really well done against Alex Cronali and Derek Dotson. 8 headed goals since 2021, third most. His running mate, by the way, Cal Jennings, 7 to his name.
Who leads?
That would be one Philip Goodrum, who has almost lapped the group with 13. Less games played, I might add, with 43. And a former Birmingham Legion striker in J.J. Williams with 11.
Wow.
Coming in at second place.
I never would have guessed Philip Goodrum.
I wouldn't have put him at the top of the group. I would have put him involved in the conversation.
Right, but like a runaway.
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming. He was the substantial acquisition by Louisville City from FC Tulsa midseason, by the way.
Speaking of former Birmingham strikers and the conversation we had in the first half, I have to give a lot of credit to Tom Stone about trying to figure out how to create that number 1 in the 9, because it always feels like they've gone and gotten the player, but the player has never shown up, or the player has been injured, or they've been great in college and then they come here in their first or second year and it doesn't really matriculate into the professional leagues until the next stop, right?
Angling for space, cut back, and Nwegbo bounces away. Nyangabire got a touch. Still, it's Nwegbo. And you can look and go, man, they had J.J. Williams or Nico Brett. And the reality is they had a very young J.J. Williams and Nico Brett.
Prosper Kasim and J.J. Williams tied for the team lead in 2019 with 7. Bruno Lapa, 7 in the COVID condensed season of 2020. Nico Brett, Tommy Stone admitted this, although he lit it up with 18 goals in 2021, felt like those were inflated numbers based upon competition, and the league has a very different level now. He admitted that what you're seeing on the field of play in front of your eyes right now, it would be very difficult to put up those types of numbers for anybody in this current iteration.
Nyangabire lobbed that over, seeking Rivera off the deflection and away by Martinez. How many coaches tell us we used to be top half, top third, top 5 in spending, and now we're square in the middle, and our budget hasn't really changed.
Yep, certainly Gave that verbatim to us. Never really had that at the 9 position. And also very honest about the landing spot. Getting a player to come to the Birmingham Legion compared to some other places, that's got to be a card.
They've already Taka knockdown.
Is another part of the conversation. Just right place, right time, right? You have to get them to favor the idea of moving to maybe a more wanted area. That's certainly something that this young man has been able to do. What great ball movement with his feet to get around all these players. Notice how he's dragging everybody with him. This is one where you want that idea of the support. If he's got his head up scanning here, that's the one caveat out of all of this that you'd like. Pick your head up, pick little peek over the left shoulder. You've dragged all 3 on the back line with you. Do you have Wegbo coming? Do you have a Pino or a Martinez coming with you as well to try and create that second goal in the night?
Hernandez, Foster, and Tabor Taka stand over the ball. Kobe Hernandez, Foster, that won't challenge far. And for what it's worth, he made a comment earlier in the year, look, we're building great training facilities. If you come for that, we'll be one of the best options you have on the table. There are young players that are choosing to make Birmingham the stepping stone for them, whether it be to Europe or making a move up the pyramid. That's good coaching, that's Jay Heap's leadership, and that's spend in making this a valuable experience to grow your career. Martinez. Here's Dodson. Had the assist on the opening goal, plays that through now, and leaping. Header and Wegbo.
Very slow defensively. Their decisions for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Ball come right through the middle, allowing Kobe Hernandez Foster through Enzo Martinez to bring it back to the outside. Slow in acknowledgement of Derek Dotson, who created that high line. I'd say it certainly has been better, though, for the visitors. Right here specifically, Damian Rivera. Forward facing more, allowing him to attack the game instead of trying to play with back to goal.
Young Kapire, that's a tug and a half. That'll get you in some trouble. That's a yellow card. And Mwegbo got booked.
Yellow card caution has been issued by the ref for number 7 keeper in the left row from Birmingham Legion.
There's the tug.
Yeah, still not allowed to do that, by the way.
And there's the half. Second yellow of the year from Wegbo, coming back off injury. First appearance since July 6th. Still going, approaching the hour mark, although you think his time is probably near. A barrage of Rowdy set pieces. None have hit pay dirt. About 15 attacking set pieces in this game. Lob through, bounces down, spinning effort, didn't go for Doherty, takes a deflection, and no handball as that appeared to bounce up and catch near the torso of a player. And that will go into the stands and catch someone square in the face. Someone just got the full Scott Sterling treatment in the stands. Tiaga dumps downfield. Elsewhere, Tulsa has grabbed the lead right before half against maybe the story of the year, Las Vegas. What a turnaround for them. Ball knocked back and lifted high by Dawson McCartney. Right place, right time, but the placement is off.
Well, this was one of the pickups that earlier this year when his name popped onto USL Championship roster immediately piqued my interest. Dawson McCartney, Dartmouth, and Notre Dame. Getting into the College Cup, left-footed set pieces, good service, and the work rate is probably the #1 thing that comes to mind. The second is attack-minded, really from anywhere on the field. It's a pretty good look at it. Just trying to find a way to get a little bit more comfortable centrally is going to be the next step for him in the way that Birmingham Legion use him.
Sent long. Perhaps Rivera rang it off the bar. And a touch from Van Oekel. Kept alive, Neon Gabire. Drives and line, cuts across. Spalding making the run. And now Birmingham get it away.
Everything we've asked for is just more support down underneath to create the combination play. Beautiful ball played in here. Thought maybe he might hit it the first time, but well taken. He's got to reach behind him here, Damian Rivera. But that goes back to their exchange right around the midway point. Jordan Doherty, all of a sudden Bender comes back in. It's everything that we've been asking for. Really well done by the coaching staff to identify that for the players and allow them to go and chase it. But we've seen enough at the start of the second half, fresh legs, to continue that conversation a little bit further.
Cal Jennings enters into the game, 13 goals. Like for like swap with Arteaga. Birmingham making a change. Rita Zuhir enters in. 3 starts, first appearance off the bench since being acquired on loan from Montreal. And there he is, Leo Fernandez, 2022 MVP, 29 goal contributions, 20 goals, but an Achilles tear in preseason saw him miss all but 4 games last year. And Nate Worth into the game, and Daniel Chrysostomo in as well. 4 changes in unison for the Rowdies just past an hour. Talk about shuffling the deck. So Chrysostomo, Jennings, Fernandez, and Worth enter in unison here for the Rowdies. Back heel, Fernandez continues to press. Launched by Van Oekel. Ball ahead, to here. Sees Tabor Itaka trailing. Diving in, knocked away. Comes out to Worth. And a foul from Enzo Martinez. I'm still in the habit of saying the full name, Enzo Martinez, so much of his career alongside his brother Alex. And you could say, in some ways, it still very much is. Alex on the coaching staff in Birmingham. All sent long down the left line. Spalding, Fernandez for Jennings. through the legs of Mensah. Leon Gabire kept it alive, soars over Fernandez.
And one would imagine this is going to be a shape change for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. That'll see Doherty drop onto the back line next to the familiar face of Aaron Guillen. The question is going to be whether or not you want to pivot further down the right-hand side and actually drop into an out-and-out 3. Or try and stick with the 4 that we've seen. Well, certainly it's going to be Fernandez, the complement underneath Cal Jennings. No question about that.
Substitution for Tampa Bay in the 62nd minute. Coming in, number 10, Leo Fernandez. Number 26, Cal Jennings. Number 17, Yan Cristiano. Number 18, Nathan Worth. Coming out, number 8, Damon Rivera. Number 9, Daniel Ortega. Number 19, Freddie Fleeman. And number 4, Lewis Hilton. The substitution was brought to you by
I have to feel for the poor public address announcer trying to get a quadruple sub out. Fell to the backside. And will run away from Bender. Won't be hard to find the USL Championship on CBS Sports down the stretch. We continue our national TV schedule with Detroit and Louisville on ESPN2 on Sunday, September 22nd. Sacramento, New Mexico could be a clincher for New Mexico in their fight for the #1 seed in the West. You'll see the conference quarterfinals, semifinals, and the championship final all featured on CBS Sports. Devin, you and I will have that November 23rd championship final. High noon in the East, no matter where it is on CBS.
Have you decided as to whether or not we'll be sharing turkey together? Recognizing that it's not Thanksgiving, but still.
We're in the general vicinity of Thanksgiving. Give thanks for you every day. Tabor Itaka somehow whistled that across the 6. Snuck by Dotson. Dev, you asked the question of the Rowdies head coach Robbie Nielsen. I'll ask the question of you. You asked whether or not this Rowdies team was capable of winning at all. Is there now a defined tier 1 within the league in your mind of the truest of championship contenders?
Yes, it's 3 teams. It's not even a question. It's Louisville City, it's the Charleston Battery, and it's New Mexico United. If we're talking right now, the quality and consistency, it's those 2 in the East and 1 in the West. The ironic thing is there are quite a few teams that could be bringing up the rear in that tier 2 spot, right? The Tampa Bay Rowdies are one of them for sure. I'd make the argument that Indy 11 at their best could be involved in that conversation. Certainly Sacramento Republic. I think the one that's probably on the brink of jumping from 2 to 1, at least in recent form, is Colorado Springs Switchbacks. But those 3, the New Mexico United, Louisville City, and Charleston Battery, they're well above the pack right now.
And you can see Louisville and Charleston leading the way. That essentially, that pairing is the Players' Shield race for the regular season title. Louisville 2 games in hand and a 3-point lead.
And to be clear for the people at home who are probably looking at the table going, well, obviously, you've got 2 teams that are no less than 13 points ahead virtually in the Eastern Conference, and 1 team in New Mexico United and 10 points ahead of Sacramento Republic in second. I'm talking about the eye test. I'm talking about the ability to maintain control of a game, to change within a match to suit the personnel that's available to you, by hook or by crook, finding a way to win games when you're not at your best. That's why I make those types of comments.
I sort of wonder if Colorado Springs enjoyed being under the radar until you just put them on blast that way.
Well, I mean, I figured either I'm going to get blown up via text from Stephen Hogan and James Chambers. I might as well get out in front of it, show them a little bit of love before they come yelling at me.
Sorry, Chambo. Tough break. Out to Roof, who just came into the game for Pino, the goal scorer. Touched over by Zahir and recovered by Nyongabire. Dev, with your number 9 coming off in Pino, and you bring in Jake Roof as Birmingham win it back at the cusp of the attacking third. How about Martinez? Right toward the Brigadiers. But how substantive a change is that for Birmingham now?
It's just the decision defensively of what you are trying to do within the midfield. My guess is that you're probably trying to create another body. You could drop Enzo underneath or Jake Roof next to Kobe Hernandez-Foster. Given the immediate look, I would probably guess that that's going to be Jake Roof. What I would do is I would drop 2 to try and convolute some of that to eliminate some of the passages that you've seen through. If you keep the 2 in front of the back 4, then you can also flatten out your shape, force more to the outside, while still keeping your flat lines and not allowing them to play centrally, which for the opening 20 minutes of the second half is where the Rowdies have found success.
Crisostomo shown yellow. Only his second time off the bench all year. That's his 7th yellow card. 27-year-old who featured for the last 2 years at LAFC. Inside 20 minutes to play in Birmingham. This is a much-needed game for Birmingham. 3 straight defeats, all the teams around them on the table. This would move them into 5th pending the weekend. Martinez, what a ball, never got through. Bangs off of Worth, brought in from Tulsa, youth national team player for the U.S. That'll play. Nyongabire into the width. Fernandez. Bodley. Spalding. Bodley. Playing early. Header dashing away from goal. And Cal Jennings, the danger man.
Has been issued by the referee for Tampa Bay, number 17, Chris Falmo.
The whole idea here is going to be the relationships for Cal Jennings. Again, creating for himself, not an issue, but the new cast of characters available for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Not just, Mike, the consecutive goals in that number, by the way, but you go a step further into what a 4-year stretch looks like. Yes, first time ever for USL Championship player that has been able to create double-digit goals in 4 consecutive seasons. But Cal Jennings is approaching a milestone of his own in terms of total goals in that same type of stretch. Cameron Lancaster, 60 goals in a 4-year stretch. Nico Brett, 55. Cal Jennings sitting on 54. 3rd best in a 4-year stretch in championship history, with 2nd clearly in his sights.
That Lancaster stretch included the 25-goal outburst. Saw him set the single season record, since twice tied, including this year by Nick Marcanic. Player for the Battery, who's set to be sold over the offseason. The deal made with CD Castellon of the 2nd division in Spain. Of course, you'd know that if you were listening on Sirius XM FC. If you can't watch the match, turn on Sirius XM FC 157. It's North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk, including USL All Access. Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, plus live matches from the USL, MLS, Premier League, and more. It's all on Sirius XM FC 157 and the new Sirius XM app. You and I had two of my favorite interviews of the entire season the last couple of weeks. Lee Cohen, the president of the Charleston Battery, was on with us to talk about the Marcanic move. And then Nana Adekora, who leads player personnel at Oakland Roots, was on this week. He was unbelievable. Something's gone a bit haywire on the bench.
I think we'd be remiss, by the way, if we didn't mention Dennis Sanchez from Las Vegas Lights.
He was amazing, wasn't
Yeah.
he? And talk about sinking ship, Las Vegas.
That thing around, dear Lord. Sneaky second-tier team.
Yeah. They're young, right?
Yeah, tons of promise.
And the irony
Oh, boy.
of the talent they added, they got even younger. That was a high arm from Moses Mensah, who's on yellow. Have you ever seen him run faster from a foul?
No, and I'm a little surprised, given the elbow to the head, that the referee didn't slow down for a second and have a conversation with the fourth official.
Worth, do-si-do with Enzo Martinez.
Go back for a second. Again, Moses Mensah, yellow card in the 43rd minute. He'd be the judge.
In a normal circumstance, being that a player wasn't on a yellow, would you have given him one for that?
I got to tell you, I'm not one to admit fault. I'll say that I was wrong there.
The way he uses his arm is...
In live play, felt like the arm was an elbow extended away from the body. Getting it back on instant replay, that's a really well done job by the refereeing crew, because it's a natural motion, the body coming up, the arm just a little bit to the side, and just more of momentum than the arm actually coming away from the torso. I stand corrected.
It doesn't make Ben Bender feel any better about it. But Lorenzo Hernandez may have just won your Referee of the Year award off that. All lobbed into the box. Punched out, comes back down to Spalding. Hernandez got something on it. Still Worth going after it. And Birmingham best calm it. Now that they've won it, they send it long. Whoa, way off his line. Did Farr get a touch to that? Did he reach his hand around the Tampa Bay defender and get the ball with that glove? That's certainly what the crowd's thinking. In first glance, I think Farr may have gotten away with one here and did not make contact with his hand. Nevertheless, Doherty upfield. Jennings, Fernandez. That knocked down by Crinali. That would have been stunning, truly. Back in quickly. Bender pirouettes. Bender, foul goes against Tampa Bay. Let's go back, shall we?
I don't think it was on the first one, if any. Possibly when he starts to collide with his own player.
Here's the pass from Fernandez's eventual effort. Offside.
Really do like the aggression of the youngster Nate Worth in front of Chrysostamo. Again, puts a little bit more pressure on him, but the way the Birmingham Legion have resided themselves defensively to stay deeper, try and hold some of this pressure in the final 15 minutes of play. Personally feel they're inviting too much, because this is eventually going to break the dam down. The question is will it actually occur in this window that they have?
Tabor Itaka, insanely good first touch. That by Doherty. Wind whipping in the face of the Tampa Bay attack. Will they show their teeth in these final 10 minutes? At a very important point on the road, and with it siphon 2 off of Birmingham. Took a deflection route, Cronali. Corner. How many times do the Rowdies have to strike the stone for it to break? Looking for Jennings, came to Fernandez. But we go back to the previous moment, led to a lot of consternation.
Difficult to tell from that angle. Again, the first touch isn't the one that worries me. Takes it off the chest. It's right there.
I think he's all right.
I was with you on the initial view that there's contact on Jordan Farr, but once again, really well done. Perfect positioning by the refereeing crew.
Advantage played. Dodson.
This is my one fear down the stretch for this Legion team, though, is that the changes that they've made, I alluded to them being very defensive-minded. If you do concede here, you don't really have the tactical ability to be much more flexible, because you've got Jake Roof, who's operating just off the right wing on this. He doesn't have the support of Dotson, who's playing deep. I get it, but he's not allowing himself to come high enough, and there's no presence centrally. Dawson McCartney, tired legs on the left-hand side. So you're basically saying, we're going to defend, no matter what. It's a little bit isolated tactically, with a hope, as opposed to the ability to actually impact the game on both sides of the ball. They feel like they're going to be able to do it. Certainly, contact there, impactful on Ryan Spalding.
I get the feeling the referees heard enough.
I'm not necessarily sure I agree with him, but the wording being used to Ryan Spalding was, it's the ball, and clearly it wasn't.
No. Dodson seeking ball in behind, fell right to Enzo Martinez. There's Farr. Farr, the king of the quick distribution, but that's off the mark. Spalding came in for it. That appeared to catch the hand of Roof. Play on. Support through the middle. Fernandez. Worth. Bender. Former #1 overall pick by Charlotte FC. And Worth let it run out for a corner. 17-year-old Garden State native, Nate Worth. In play, Jennings went for it. Tabor Itaka slides by Nyangabire, shouldered off. Tabor Itaka runs it down. Turns the corner. Tabor Itaka finally ran out of room. Saying Tabor Itaka goes 0 to 100 very fast leads you to believe he isn't always going 100.
These last 5 minutes are getting to you, huh?
Hernandez Foster. Options percolating. Hernandez Foster! Incredible! Birmingham had their second. Hernandez Foster's second of the season secures a massive 3 points at home.
The quality of what he brings to the field of play, never in doubt. It was at what height of a level could it be maintained? Again, he is known for his ball-carrying ability, the ability to slow things down centrally and then provide to others side-to-side long distribution. But he can definitely have a crack from distance. This is one thing that you worry about is when you start to push defensively. You come one direction really high, and then immediately you're retreating. You're playing the game in one direction, and you forget about the secondary level of runners. That's IQ from Kobe Hernandez Foster. After the ball's played the outside, slowing his run down, recognizing all of the defensive units in front of him that have pinned themselves deep, a 10-yard gap atop the 18, the second of the night, and certainly what should be a secure 3 points for the Legion.
Played up at the Under-17 World Cup at just 15 years old in 2019 when he was still with the Galaxy. Made the move overseas to Wolfsburg in 2021, a couple of years in Norway. They signed him in March this year, so they're still trying to figure out what he was all about in the early season. Turns out he's been the chief chance creator for Birmingham. And a goal kick won by the Legion. What a difference a couple of weeks make. Birmingham had dropped all the way to 8th. And this one singular win will parachute them into 5th. Meanwhile, the Rowdies' tenuous grip on 3rd loosens just a bit.
Total chance creation for Kobe Hernandez Foster pushes him up into 5th in the entire league. What a conundrum of a game this was coming in, Mike. You know, I looked at you and I said it was so peculiar to me because you had a team that wants to go win a title that showed us earlier this year in the Tampa Bay Rowdies that felt like they could do it. But that level has dropped off to the point that that firmly cemented spot of 3rd in the Eastern Conference now has the ability to not just be chased down by Detroit City, but all of a sudden you look over your shoulder and virtually with 7 games to play, the Birmingham Legion are only 5 points back. And that's talking about 3rd.
And the first tiebreaker is head-to-head.
Correct.
And this will sweep the season series for Birmingham. So really, you could argue they're only 4 back.
Also, with the understanding that confidence-wise for this Legion team, we said it was only the 3rd time in organization history they had ever experienced 3 losses consecutively, dating back to 2019. Coming into tonight, with how the results could have panned out negatively for them, combined with teams behind them, like a Pittsburgh Riverhound squad, like a Loudoun United team. With the loss tonight and those teams getting wins, they could have dropped outside of the playoff race entirely. I mean, that's how tight these margins are.
but also the confidence booster this will be for a Legion team that was so drastically in need of it.
And Dev, the reality is, if you lost this game, think of their next 4 games. They're against 8, 9, 10, and 12. At Loudoun, host Miami. At Pittsburgh, host North Carolina. In theory, you had the 1 game you had to win, Miami, and then 3 that were essentially a mini play-in tournament that existed through the end of September and the start of October. By winning this game, you've lifted yourself out of that for the moment.
You need help, certainly, in chasing down everyone in front of you, but there are 2 words that come to mind to everything that you just said: rear view mirror. It's the ability on a 6-point swing against all of those teams to stick them behind you.
You know, I had to look.
I'm aware. I know what you were looking up.
All right.
Go ahead and apologize.
I'm seeing it both ways.
Yeah.
This is one of the rare moments in the English language where you're both wrong and right, and I both apologize and can say, sorry, not sorry. More on that to come. Zahir slipped and offers a chance for us to just make mention. Rear view can be either 1 word or 2.
It's 1 + 1 = 1. That's what we're talking about here.
Did you know hat trick can actually be done 1 of 3 ways?
Not tonight.
Hyphenated 1 word, 2 word.
Well, I gotta tell you, I don't think I've ever seen it utilized in 1 word fashion.
Alas. Seeking ball back. Wrong network, but the more you know, am I right?
Conversely, by the way, for the schedule upcoming for the Tampa Bay Rowdies, they get to go home on the weekend to face the hottest team in the USL Championship right now, and the Bob Lilly blazing Pittsburgh Riverhounds, 10 games unbeaten, 5-0-5.
Worth finding Spalding and grabbed by Van Oekel.
Then travel to the Charleston Battery in a week's time. Then in theory, you're facing, if you ask Brendan Burke, a still unbeaten Hartford Athletic, then Rhode Island, then Louisville. Let's just say that the road to the postseason, although certainly will be there for the Tampa Bay Rowdies, looks a little bit different down the stretch than what Birmingham Legion have to face. Quality of opponent much higher.
Picked up here by Farr. And the reality is that Charleston game may well decide whether the Rowdies have any hope of catching the Battery for that #2 spot. And with it, a guaranteed second home playoff game if you advance out of the quarters. Midway point of 5 minutes of stoppage time, and a reminder that the USL Championship is on CBS Sports and ESPN platforms all season long. Catch live matches and expert analysis every day on the CBS Sports Golasso Network and ESPN Plus. Go to USLChampionship.com for the complete USL TV listings. Bodley. Undercut run at the back post. Ultimately, Birmingham was only a couple games away from the league's free square this year. That Miami team may genuinely be the worst independent team in the history of the league. But if they had lost this game and at Loudoun, stretched that losing streak to 5 leading into that, it's the kind of thing that dooms a season. And so in that sense, Birmingham has picked up maybe the most valuable 3 points of their campaign. Young Gabire helped up. He was the player making the run at the back post. All the while, to your point, Indy 6 games back of the Rowdies, game in hand. Detroit, same 27 games played. Only 4 points back. A long way to go here with about 2 months to play. And it's interesting, right? Because every team that has games in hand, how often do we say this? It means you have to play more in the last 2 months, and you can run yourself out. And so if you're Louisville, you're going, I've got a 3-point lead on Charleston and 2 games in hand. You got to play them. There's nothing guaranteed about it, for one, and even if they were, you're going to have to tucker yourself out with another 180 minutes in the last month of the season than Charleston will. We've gone the 5. Smashed into the Birmingham Knight. Thrown up by Farr. Lorenzo Hernandez has a 6th sense of humor. Jennings. That's it, it's full time. Birmingham Legion grab an enormous 2 points, and still the Rowdies bugaboo remains the Legion. 5 straight wins over the Rowdies in the regular year for Birmingham. They sweep the season series. And their first home win in about a month and a half catapults them into 5th.
Ironic, the better chances were actually created in the first half by the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Much better control in the second. But this was a character game for Birmingham Legion. 3 consecutive games, 3 consecutive losses, but always holding the trump card against the Tampa Bay Rowdies, and the mental tenacity to once again go and push them aside. Relevance in the Eastern Conference no longer an issue for Birmingham Legion, who pushed themselves up into 5th and only 5 points behind the Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Derek Dodson, the assist on the opener to Stefano Pino in the 37th minute, brought the fans to their feet. Colby Hernandez Foster seals the deal. 3 points for Birmingham Legion, and they sparked their biggest win of the year, snapping a 3-game losing skid. Post game coming up. Mission accomplished, a 3-game losing streak. No goals in 3 games. Birmingham backs 2 on the Rowdies, and they've won both games. A series sweep this year. Birmingham 2, the Rowdies nothing. Mike Watts, Devin Kerr, let's wrap this one up for you. Highlights galore, and the Rowdies not without chances to win this game.
2 saves in the opening 25 minutes for the Birmingham Legion, and Matt Van Oekel both in very similar fashion down into that bottom corner. I would add that although this is a quality chance, it is still from close to 18 yards out, albeit in traffic in front of the goalkeeper. But let's go to that goal in the 37th minute and break it down. They really lacked a presence up top in that 10 spot, and what they were doing was playing this game on the outside. They didn't have depth. Well, as you created here, crossing patterns by Tyler Pasher, you get the overlap by Wegbo onto the backside. Mensah comes through, so does Pino. Most importantly, Derek Dotson on the second level to create the separation, ball back across, and the opening goal for the Birmingham Legion. But the response was excellent in the second half to start for the Tampa Bay Rowdies, and it was all about the focal point centrally in Rivera. Now, the good news was his combination was better between him and Ben Bender. The bad news was you lost your attacking presence on the outside. Too much became transitional, which turned into the second goal for the Birmingham Legion. Great job by Kobe Hernandez Foster to work it through. No pressure whatsoever on the usually stout defensive line of the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Strike from distance, second on the night. And here's the one thing I want to say about the setup for the Tampa Bay Rowdies tonight, because to me the squad selection was wrong. I have the ability to do that, Mike, because it's Monday morning quarterback. But when I look at the passing matrices on the night, I talk about having that 10 spot, the chance creator. Rivera didn't connect a single pass tonight with anybody except Ryan Spalding. That is your number 10 underneath your 9. And go one step further, Spalding, who was inverting a little bit, only connected with Blake Bodley and Damian Rivera. That gives you an idea of how difficult it was for this team to break down Kobe Hernandez Foster, Enzo Martinez, and certainly Dawson McCarty. They were excellent defensively.
So Birmingham a 2-0 win. What does that mean within the context of which we all live in the Eastern Conference? Dev, Louisville has already clinched. Charleston has a chance to do so here this coming weekend. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh holds the 8th spot now at 35 points. And there's work to be done here for Birmingham, but they move up into 5th.
All of a sudden, if you're Indy 11, if you're Rhode Island, things get a little bit tighter. But you've got to be able pretty comfortable if you're the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, albeit right on the playoff line. 10 games unbeaten, streaking right now. Ryan Martin, Loudon, they're hanging in there. North Carolina, an outside chance, but to me, this is a 9-horse race.
And so Birmingham puts them firmly in the mix with a 2-0 win over Tampa Bay tonight. Both teams back in action this coming weekend as the Eastern Conference race continues to heat up on CBS Sports and ESPN networks. For Devin Kerr and our entire team in Birmingham and beyond, Mike Watts saying thanks for watching. An incredible performance. Pino and Hernandez Foster the goals. The Legion a winner, 2-0. Good night.